Alright everybody, welcome to our last Thor Love and Thunder Wave review. In the last couple of videos, we looked at everyone else in the line, as seen here. So today we're focusing on our last two characters, Thor in his armor and King Valkyrie. Well, I say two, but there's actually a third character, and that is the Korg Build-A-Figure. Packaging is the same as everything else we've seen in this line. More pretty illustrations. So as of this review, I still have not seen the movie. Not because I don't want to, I mean, I've heard mixed reviews, but I'm sure it's good. I just, you know, like life and stuff. And I've avoided spoilers so far, so I don't really know what the deal is with this crazy looking armor, but it is extravagant. Very sci-fi fantasy, and I don't dislike that. So I reckon some people were kind of put off by the look of this armor, but I like it. It is very flashy though. Very garish. The kind of thing you'd see at the Met Gala. But for being so intricate, everything is really well made and really well painted. You've got this really cool mix of matte and iridescent paints, golds and blues and blacks, set off with this bright red cape. To complement the cape, you've got a little ring of red around the gauntlets, just to tie that color in. The helmet looks like it's a little too far up on his face, or the eye holes are too far apart. There's no way you'd be able to see out of that. I know he's a god, but his power isn't being able to see through helmets. Beautiful hair waving in the breeze. And I complained about his hair and Jane's hair in my last review. It's got this mottled look, and that doesn't bother me as much here because the sculpt is more dynamic, so you're not just focusing on static hair strands. I will say the whole figure is so intricate. I feel like the cape needs some shading. Like, the sculpt is really great on the cape, but with all the colors they've got going on here, I feel like the cape needs a little something extra too. But that is very minor. I like this figure a lot, actually. I didn't think I would. When I saw it in the package, I thought it looked pretty silly, honestly, and I can't speak to how it looks on the screen, but seeing it in action figure form, it looks pretty cool. I mean, in a geeky way. If anything else, it's a really neat action figure. Of course, he's going to run into that head articulation problem with this beautiful, luscious mane of hair flowing out behind him. Not only that, but we've got the cape and the armor in the way. There was no hope for his head articulation. Best he can do is twist. I mean, at a certain age, that's the best any of us can do, I think. Nothing too crazy on the arms. Double elbow, but the gauntlet is getting in the way of getting the full range of motion there. Huge twist on the upper torso, though. Crunch down, crunch back. Pretty limited range on the legs, too. Though the double knee is really nicely hidden by this top part of the boot. We've also got a thigh twist, but I never understood that because, human thighs don't really work that way. And we got a really chunky pivot at the ankle. But yeah, I'm into this costume. I love all the little details. It looks silly, it looks crazy. Some might say it's over-designed, but I like it. He does need a better helmet, though. So Ravager Thor didn't come with any extra hands, but this one, don't fall over, buddy, comes with a punchy hand for some reason. Why is that, I wonder? Just for something to fill the package? What hand is this? That's the wrong hand. I have trouble sometimes, you know. I draw hands all the time, so you'd think I'd know which hand goes where, but that's not the case. I do my best though, just like Thor. And it's strange that they would include a closed fist instead of another open hand to hold the Stormbreaker, but, maybe there's a reason for that? I don't know. Does he punch something real good in the movie, and so they needed a punchy hand? Right, so speaking of that, he also comes with Stormbreaker. What's interesting to me is that the Armored Thor Stormbreaker is the same as the Ravager Thor Stormbreaker, but with less paint. Like, this one's got some really cool finishes where it highlights these raised areas in silver. This one is just straight silver. The handle on this one is also lighter, and it also hasn't melted in the heat yet. Our Ravager Thor has been holding onto this one, and it has been really hot the past several weeks in the 100+ temps, which is great. It's just great. I love living here. Anyway, it's been so hot that the Stormbreaker has wilted. And that's one of the things I complained about in my review, is that this plastic is so bendy when it doesn't really need to be. So yeah, Armored Thor Stormbreaker, not as nice as the Ravager Thor one, but it hasn't melted yet, so that's a plus. His hands are rubbery enough, and the handle is rubbery enough that you can get it in there without any problem. And yeah, posing him is going to be an adventure, because he doesn't really want to look up because of just everything going on up here. So I think you're probably going to have to fudge it a little by raising his torso up as much as it can go, which leaves a weird gap here, but it's not too bad, actually. Two very different Thor looks, but I like them both. Whatever he's wearing, He always has that beautiful beard. Now let's look at King Valkyrie, another gorgeous illustration. Who are they getting to do the Marvel Legends box illustrations? Because I would like to meet that person and steal their skills. Alright, what is this? What is that? Looks like a sewer pipe kind of thing. Oh, this is Korg's, isn't it? Is this Korg's weapon? It's gotta be. What is it though? Korg face. So after we look at Valkyrie, we will be putting Korg together, and I'm sure that will go flawlessly. Ooh, very cool sword she's got there. And maybe it's just because I looked at Thor first, but she seems so small. Then when I stack her up against Jane, that size seems correct. It's just that Thor is a huge dude. But yeah, she looks awesome. I love this costume. Just everything about this costume, about this look, meshes so well together. The monochromatic armor, the awesome blue cape that is just coming from this piece over her shoulders. Her hair even has some blue wrapping in it to tie in with the cape. Speaking of her hair, it is so beautiful. It's just insanely detailed, especially for a Marvel Legend. And I don't mean to say that Marvel Legends aren't typically detailed, but this is just like a little bit beyond what they usually put out, and that's awesome. Ah, she looks so cool. I would want to be her best friend, and not only because she would let me ride her flying horse. Is that a euphemism? I don't know, and I don't care. I would do anything for Valkyrie. Face sculpt is really nice too. It's a neutral expression, but there's also a lot of personality in it. I will say that I wish that her knife in this holster at her boot came out. That would be pretty cool, but it is stuck in there in perpetuity. I just noticed these like hangy down thigh handles or whatever these are. Oh, what's that for, Valkyrie? But yeah, I love the white and silver detail against the black costume. That looks so cool. Rivets on these little thigh danglies here. Silver accent on the gloves. Tiny little insignia. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it means something cool. So like Thor and Jane, Valkyrie's gonna have a little trouble in the looking up department because of her hair. Down isn't much better either, even though there's not really anything in the way there. Got some big old joints on her shoulders. They like to get stuck. Bicep swivel, double elbow. Alright, I forgot kind of what I was saying because my camera shut down because it overheated because it's 1 billion degrees here. So wait, what was I saying before this? I think we were talking about articulation. Yeah, that's what was going on. Okay. Another big upper waist joint for her. A lot of nice back and forth motion on that too. Nothing at the waist except for small crunch. Not so much crunch back. Decent leg movement. Double knee. Not too noticeable because her costume is mostly black. So yeah, we've got pretty good articulation on her if you don't count her head, which doesn't do much except stand there and look pretty. Unfortunately, Valkyrie does not come with a Pegasus, which would be amazing. Marvel, please release a Pegasus version of Valkyrie. But she does come with her weapon. A lot of really small details in there. I like the color with this just white wrapping on the handle, and then everything else is a nice silver. You've even got a little bit of differentiation between the silver on the hilt and the pommel and the silver on the actual blade. This is more blue, and this is a more dark gray kind of silver. Might be imperceptible to some people, but I think touches like that are really neat. And of course, she looks badass, because she is. Even though she's got dog fur stuck to her, because my dog sheds like a monster. I will say, I'm having a hard time standing her up. Her feet are small, she's kind of got this heavy cape in the back, and her hair. So you need to do a little bit of balancing. But she looks really cool when you finally get her to stand up. But man, when I see them together, the size, there's such a size difference. I mean, I guess Thor is just a huge dude. Let's look at Jane. Yeah, Valkyrie seems to be the smallest among all three. I don't think of Valkyrie as a small person, but I guess she is. Tessa Thompson is like what? Yeah, she's 5'4", I just looked it up. So that makes sense because I'm 5'3" and I can't reach the microwave. Alright, now we get to assemble all our disparate Korg pieces, if I can find them. I'm anticipating a little bit of trouble because these Build-A-Figures are usually pretty stiff and their peg holes have shrunk by the time they get to the customer. So I may have to run him in some hot water. Head seemed to have gone on easily. Don't let me down, Korg. I'm very weak. Giant. Huge. Joints. I guess Build-A-Figures are fun. I guess they are. Ugh. But they can be a lot of trouble too. His head looks so small for his body. But he is a rock person. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Ragnarok, so I don't really remember what his character design looks like exactly. But I'm sure this is accurate. The recesses for the arm joints are way down in there. Alright. Alright, so I haven't needed to break out the hot water so far. Okay, so here is our Korg Build-A-Figure. And I will say right off the bat, the legs are a problem. I remember when Floosh Robo got this wave and he reviewed it, he had this problem with the legs where they just splay out. And I had totally forgotten about that until just now assembling him. And yeah, it is a problem. He looks so cool, but his legs, he just keeps wanting to do a split. It's just the way that the joints are, I think, just splay his legs apart, and there's no getting them together and keeping them together. I could make a joke about that, but I'm not gonna, except for the pseudo joke I just made. It's a shame because he's so cool. He's a really neat looking figure, though we'll go over a few little nitpicks here in a minute. But yeah, the legs being like this are... it might be a deal breaker for some people. I imagine that's going to affect what you can do with him pose-wise too. But other than that, really cool character design, really cool sculpt. I would love to see a wash on his actual body. He's got a little bit of a wash on his fur here, only in the front though, interestingly enough, none in the back. So a wash on the back, a wash on his body, maybe a little bit of wash on these leather bits. And it wouldn't take much, I mean he's a rock. So just break out the brown and black paint and have at it. Should sink naturally into those crevices. But yeah, I think a little bit more detail here and there would really add to this figure. Some crazy looking pants. What is that? Looks like a lot of patchwork, but I guess if you're made of rocks, you go through a lot of clothes. That must be some really strong space denim. I mean, I'm a little confused about Korg's biology and why he even needs to wear clothes in the first place. Like, why wear this rough of fur? Does he get cold? He's a rock. A perishable rock, sure, but a rock. A cute little Korg face. Really cool space goat belt buckle. I wish there was a Meek action figure. There's not, is there? We don't have any Meek. He has no hair to get in the way of looking up, but he also can't look up very well. Nor can he look down very well. His head is just so tiny on his massive body. We saw those giant, robust arm joints. So you've got some big sweeping movements there, bicep swivel, double elbow that's a little useless, up and down on the hands, and of course rotation on the hands. Not much back and forth on this joint, but you do get swivel. Some rotation at the waist, that's hidden by his goat belt. Big chunky joint at the legs, double knee hidden by this knee pad, big pin and rocker for the feet, and it's interesting the way they did this. It's almost like a slipper. So you've got that. And it's plugged into the front here. But that doesn't solve his leg problems. Of course, he also comes with his weapon, which looks just like some kind of pipe he picked up somewhere. And he looks pretty intimidating. But yeah, man, those legs. Oh, that's a problem. It's going to be difficult to pose him in any meaningful manner. But he does look really cool. By now, I'm sure someone has found a way to fix this problem. But I'm sure it requires going in with maybe a Dremel and some X-Acto knives and, I don't know, stuff. So size-wise, let's compare him to Thor. That looks about right. I feel like Korg was maybe supposed to be a little bit bigger, but this is good enough. Good enough. TM. But then, of course, he towers over 5'4" Valkyrie, which is good. You want a big, impressive figure for your Build-A-Figure. Alright, so that concludes our Thor Love and Thunder Wave reviews. It's been quite a journey. I'm glad I split this video up into segments instead of trying to tackle it all at once because it's just too much. Some people might have fun doing that, but I'm not one of them. So, as always, likes and subscribes are very much appreciated. Comments are more than welcome, and I will see you guys on the next one.